flower friends, it's Nicole from Flower Hill Farm, and today I am starting the other seeds that I have left to start in this year's Grow Along. Now, I have already started 3 of the varieties in the Grow Along: the Baby's Breath, the Goldilocks Rudbeckia, and the Rocket Snapdragons. So I had really spotty germination on both the Snapdragons and the Baby's Breath, but I do have about 8 plants of the Baby's Breath, and they are growing. They are about 3 inches tall. Nothing really fantastic, but they are growing. And then the Rudbeckia actually looks really good. I had an okay germination, probably 75% germination on the Rudbeckia. Those plants are looking healthy. And the Snapdragons had a really spotty germination. In fact, some germinated right away and others are just now starting to germinate. And I started all of those over a month ago. It was March 18th when I started those seeds. So some spotty germination, but it's okay. I still have some plants, and I'm going to be starting 2 out of the 3 we have left today. I'm starting my cinnamon basil, and I'm also starting my zinnias, Benary giant zinnias. So I am not starting today my sunflowers. So the sunflowers, it's a pro cut. It's too early for me to start my sunflowers because I'm about a month away from my last frost date. I don't want to start them too early because they'll just get leggy. I had thought about maybe starting some sunflowers early because I am really wanting to start my sunflowers. Sunflowers to me means kicking off flower season. So I'm really debating whether or not to just start some, but maybe not the Grow Along ones. Maybe I'll start some other ones, kind of experiment, maybe create a little hoop house, like a low tunnel for them outside so that I can put them out a little earlier. I'm really wanting to give it a try. So cinnamon basil is one of my favorite basils. Basils in general, I love them. They make great cut flowers. I'm using the seeds that I got from Johnny's. I did not receive my seeds from the Grow Along, so I've been using some seeds that someone else gave me. They forfeited their Grow Along seeds. Thanks, Mom. So I'm actually gonna be using Johnny's cinnamon basil because I've been told that everyone who purchased the seeds through the link for the Grow Along seeds received incorrect seeds. They did not receive cinnamon basil. They in fact received plain basil. So I apologize about that. That's a bummer. So knowing that, I'm gonna use my Johnny's cinnamon basil seeds. So I'm only gonna be doing 20 cinnamon basils today. And that's because of the poor germination on the other ones. I'm just gonna do less of the cinnamon basil for the Grow Along because I'm not gonna need as much basil because I'm not gonna have as many other plants to go along with it. So maybe I should still start 40 but no, this is seed that I know has good germination. We're good. Okay, and then the other seed that I'm gonna start today are the Benary giant Zinnia seeds, and I absolutely adore Benary giant, and I wouldn't farm without them. They are kind of stealing the show in midsummer before the dahlias arrive. There are supposed to be 50 seeds in this packet, so I'm gonna start all of these today. So they're just really my favorite things, and they are a cut and come again flower, so you just keep cutting the blooms and they keep coming back for you, and I'm really loving the zinnias. So I've got the cinnamon basil and I have the zinnias, and I'm gonna start those today. I wanna take a second and thank all the Grow Along members who joined me on the live Zoom meets. Was it earlier this month, or was it the end of March or early April? I spent a week and I think I did 11 Zoom meetings, and I had dozens and dozens of you guys join me, and it was so much fun, and it was kind of really nice to connect, and thank you guys for joining me. We'll do another one for members in, I think, late July, early August, depending on how the weather is and what the season looks like at that point. But I'm definitely gonna be doing another one of those. Check your emails if you guys are members. So for the 712 of you guys that got in with the membership, please check your email and make sure that you should have received probably, why am I looking at my watch? My watch is gonna tell me how many emails you received. I've sent out probably 12 emails over the last couple of months that are Grow Along related, in addition to a couple of like bonus videos. Anyway, I'm gonna go make some soil blocks for the zinnias and the basil, so let's go do that. This is my giant bag of Vermont Fort V compost, so I'm just gonna grab a couple of scoops. So guys, I use a feed scoop to get my compost out of this, and honestly, it's been kind of amazing. My father-in-law came up with this. He just showed up with this one day. Was like, hey, thought this would be helpful. Yeah, he was right. Thanks, Walter. Put a second scoop in here. I'm kind of running out of room with all the bare roots and all the dahlias and everything in here. Okay, so I have 2 scoops in here, which would be more than enough for this. I'm gonna go grab the water. Okay, move the scoop. So this is just warm water. I just add enough to make it mixy. Mixy, that's an official term. And I always have more than I need available in the bucket right here, just so I can rinse my hand off. I prefer to mix things around with my hand. I don't like to have a stirring stick or anything like that. Ooh, is there something in here? No, I thought I felt a butter knife, but it's nothing. This is perfect. So it holds its shape, not too dry, not too wet, and then I rinse my hand off in the bucket. Also rinse my soil blocker off in the bucket as well. Okay. I always find the best method to making soil blocks is to give yourself enough elbow room and just back and forth, back and forth. And then it's perfectly in the bottom there. I have to get a tray though, otherwise there's no soil blocks. Okay, so I have a food takeout container, which is perfect for 2 soil blocks. And then this one, I don't know where this came from. My mother-in-law brings over containers, any container she thinks that I can use. So I'm guessing she dropped this off. She's like a ninja. She slides in, she drops stuff off, she helps me plant seeds, and she slowly disappears. So we have this, I'm gonna put 2 in. Look at them, they're perfect, I love them. All right, they look weird because there's a ledge right there. So those ones are on this side of the ledge. They're the nicest looking soil blocks that I've made in a month. I like to scrape it on the bottom, packs it all in there. I will squeeze it out a little bit closer. I'm gonna put my hand underneath it and I'm just pushing down and pulling up. And I have those beautiful blocks of soil. So I like these because they double as humidity domes. So this will germinate just like this. I must put seeds in though. That's a requirement. Otherwise, nothing's gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen. La da da da. La da da da. All right, let's go. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to fit, let's see, this tub was like a $5 tub from Dollar General. No big deal. Okay, yeah, it was a 5. Also, oh my gosh, my in-laws brought this tub over too. They thought it would be perfect. They're super helpful. Thank you, guys. Oh, I could fit 4 here. I could fit 4 soil blocks on this little tray. I don't even know what this tray is from. I've never purchased anything with this. It's a #1 package. Okay, so I'm only gonna do 3 soil blocks because 3 times 20 equals 60 and I only have 50 zinnia seeds. Okay. Perfect. Aw, what was I thinking? These ones are shorties. Look how much shorter they are. Now, I am a little bit crazy when it comes to the soil blocks. So if they don't look good, if they aren't perfect the way that I want them, I redo them. I just think I didn't put enough soil in. Okay, that feels better. Let's see. Ah, yes, they're all the same height. So you see how dirty that is? Sometimes that will impact the amount of soil that you can put in. So every few blocks that I make, I splash water all over myself and clean it off. That way I can make a perfect block. Move my supplies around. Need to grab a toothpick. I only need 1. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and start with the basil. The basil is super simple, just 1 basil in each little soil block. They are honestly, for me, they're one of the most reliable to germinate. The Basil. Ooh, that's like 400. I only need 40. And honestly, you don't even have to lick it. The soil blocks are so damp that you just have to touch the soil block and then the basil seed sticks right to it. So just one basil seed on top of every soil block. They are difficult to see once you put them on there. So if you're gonna stop and take a break or something, make sure you get to the end of a row and mark it. Like if I were to stop here, I'd stop and then put my toothpick down just so when I came back to it, because sometimes they blend right in with the soil and you can't see where you've put a seed and where you haven't. Basil, they will have a telltale once they've been in the water, in the wet soil for a few minutes. They actually start to turn a lighter color. It's very unique. Let me know if you guys have noticed that. So anyway, that's one of my little, I wouldn't call it a secret. I would call it a lesson learned from walking away from a block that I hadn't fully soiled. I soiled my blocks. That I hadn't fully seeded. So I'd come back and I'd be like, I have no idea what's a seed and what's not. So sometimes I ended up skipping a row or double seeding a row, which either way, it's not a big deal, but I like to know where I am when I'm doing things, right? So the plan is still to put my grow along seeds, or my seedlings, I guess, all the plants inside the deer fence, just because I don't want to risk having the deer chomp anything. And like I said, I don't think I had planned on it was going to take up a 20-foot row. I don't think I'm going to be taking up 20 feet of it because I only have 8 baby's breath instead of 30. I only have maybe 60 snapdragons instead of 80, and I only have probably 20 Rudbeckia, if that, instead of the 30 or so that I was going to be planting. So plans change, nothing you can do about it. Right, I just have one more row to go here. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, cinnamon basil complete. Okay, so cinnamon basil, labeling. So some people have problems with basil because they say that it wilts too easily in their bouquets. So number one, it needs to be hydrated. So I cut basil at least 24 hours in advance. Sometimes I like 2 days just in case. And then you keep it in the water, a little bit of flour food, let it sit for at least 24 hours. And you might see the plants wilt, but they will rehydrate and they will bounce back to life. Back to life? They will bounce back to life. The only thing that I can really stress is do not put it in the cooler. Don't put it in the fridge. Don't put it in the cooler. Basil does not like that. Okay, these are ready to go. And now we have the zinnias. Where are the zinnias? It's a mystery. I just had them. Hello. Hello. Zinnias. Zinnia. Zinnia. Where'd you go? Hello. Did I lose them? Dear Lord, I put them in the bag with the basil. Never mind. Okay, we have the zinnia. We've got the zins. Now I will be taking the zinnias. They have a really pointy end and a little bit more of a rounded end. I'm gonna take the pointed end and just stick it in the soil. This is a little bit more tedious to do in soil blocks. I guess you don't have to do this. As long as they're, you know, touching the soil and there's some moisture there, you should be okay. But I'm going to go the extra mile and I'm going to stick them right in the soil. You don't have to soil block anything. You can start your zinnias in tiny pots, in plug trays, in leftover or Cool Whip containers, anything you want, anything your heart desires. Seeds, all they want to do, they have one purpose, just to grow. I feel like seeds and I have a lot in common. So I started some zinnias for the 6-packs that I'm going to be selling at my seedling sale, and I used last year's seed, and I'm finding that I have a really poor germination on last year's Benary giant seeds. So I'm hoping that's just a fluke because it's last year's seeds. I have not opened my new Zinnia seeds. I'm gonna be starting those today too for my farm, like my farm seeds. So I'm really hoping that I'm not gonna have like a cursed Zinnia year. But usually, you know, you have successes at some things and failures at other things. I feel like I have failed at ranunculus for the last 3 years. I have a really good feeling that I'm gonna have success with ranunculus this year. The plants look amazing. I'm gonna be doing a hoop house tour this week. You may have already seen it, depending on when you were able to catch this video. But everything is looking really, really good. So I'm hopeful that I'll have, you know, a fantastic ranunculus year. There's some basil from the bag in my hand. Sorry. But that's how every year kind of goes. Some things you have success and some things you have failures at. Look at 2020 for me. My dahlias were awful. I had basically, I cut 10 dahlias, maybe 10, 20 dahlias for the entire season because of oops, what am I doing? The drought and also the crown gall disease. So I epically failed at growing dahlias in 2020, but then had huge success with them last year. So it really is just, let's see what you're gonna be successful at year after year after year. And then try to figure out why you had that success and try to replicate it in years to come. I'm already making changes to the lineup for next year. I'm really excited about some things that are coming up. So sometimes you have to stop doing things. You can only try something so many times before you say, okay, maybe that's just not in the cards for me. Let me find something that I can have success at. And that's kind of the way I feel about a few of the plants that I've tried growing for cut flowers. I think maybe at the end of the season, I'll make the final decision about things that I might cross off my list, and obviously I'll share that with you guys if and when that happened. But I do have a couple of contenders for the I'm never growing this again video that I've already titled I'm never growing this again. That is it. I ended up with 40, 48, 50, 52, 54. 54 seeds out of supposed to be 50, so that's good. I had enough seeds. So that leaves me with 6 empty soil blocks. But that's it, so I'm gonna go downstairs. I'm gonna mist this. Zinnia's like 80 to 85 degrees for germination. Basil, I think a little less. What does this say? Yeah, 65 to 70 degrees. So I don't need to put these basil, and these don't need to be on heat mats. I don't need to put these on heat mats, but I will put the zinnia on heat mat. I'll cover it with some plastic wrap, make sure I give it a little of a spritz, and I'll let you guys know how these things germinate. And hopefully you guys are all having success with your stuff. I know a lot of you guys are in much different areas of the world than I am. So some of you guys are probably already seeing some flowers because you guys are all over the place. And I'm in kind of like the last place. There are only a few zones lower than me, but I think we're all gonna have fun and enjoy sharing this with each other. So anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around and we'll see you soon.